Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for taking some time to join me today. Very excited to be meeting with you to share a little bit more of the MGT story. My name's Dan. We'll get into intros shortly here. I'll probably have a few other folks on my team signing in. And again, thank you to those of you out there. I see a few folks in the attendee list where I'm pretty sure we've got multiple people from the same team. So really appreciate you taking some time to join us today. This is my favorite 20 or 30 minutes throughout the week. This is where I get to connect directly with the agents who are most engaged in MGT, most interested in learning more about us and what we do and how to achieve great things together. And so, again, thank you for taking some time for us today. All along the way, as we go through this presentation, I would invite you to use the chat feature to ask any questions that you have. Just because of the scale of these webinars, we can't really have everybody set up with their mics on. That would just get really noisy really fast, and I'd feel rude having to ask people to turn the volume down all the time. But please use that chat feature. Let me post a quick message here. And so that should have just highlighted the chat on your screen. You can use that, ask any questions as we go through this today. I will make sure to address those. So if you see anything you want to talk a little more about, want to dig into, please feel welcome to do that here. I guess I'll get us kicked off. Quick intro on myself. My name's Dan. Hi, Karen. Thank you for using that chat. I'm the partner activation leader here at MGT. What that means to you is that as you're getting up and running with us, first getting started with MGT, you might need some extra support. You might have some questions and you might not know who to reach out to. You can always reach out to me. You can kind of think of me as your MGT fixer. And stay tuned. I'll be sharing my contact information with the group in just a little bit. And so while we give the stragglers who are a little bit slower to get in here another minute or two to get signed in, one thing I am always curious about is for those of you on the call, what is your favorite flavor of ice cream? Use that chat to let us know. This question might just be related to it being summer. To me, that's ice cream season. So let me know your favorite flavors in the chat. Looks like we got Christopher with the coconut, Glynis with the cookie dough, Frank, Annie, love that answer. Jonathan's birthday cake gelato, Lily and Karen, vanilla, love that. I gotta say, I'm probably closer to Frank. My favorite flavor of ice cream is whatever one is in my hand at the moment. But I also love coffee ice cream, cookie dough, mint chocolate chip, you name it. Oh, we got pistachio. Some more votes for vanilla. It's funny. Vanilla is what we use to describe like boring things, but it's actually a very complex flavor. So, Jason, you just signed in time to hear my TED talk on vanilla ice cream.
I'm glad I didn't miss it.
All right. Well, boss is here, everybody. Back to work. Um, Jason, why don't you go ahead and do a quick intro?
Thanks, Dan. Head of business development at MGT. Honestly, I'm sure that Dan has said the same, but if not, like I know that it's 100% true. We're all here because we love working with agents. That's why we show up to this. That's why we do this weekly webinars because we love interacting with you directly. It's my privilege to get to work with agents every single day alongside Dan and the rest of the team. So I'm here just to hear your questions and help support Dan as he goes through our awesome system that we're very excited to share with you. Please use this time to ask all the questions, and I'll interrupt Dan. And we'll see whether or not we can stump him. Is something fun that Dan and I usually try to do. And y'all, it doesn't happen often. Most folks don't
Yeah.
ask questions that stump Dan. He knows a lot of stuff. So see what you can do.
Well, I do have to say the other day I stopped and got myself an ice cream cone and was eating it. I was like, wow, this is a great experience. I think this took somewhere from 3 to 5 minutes to finish this ice cream cone. You know what's even better that only takes 3 to 5 minutes? It's quoting small commercial risks with MGT. So let's see how it all works.
Better than ice cream. That's quite a statement, Dan.
So with MGT, the era of Neo Insurance has arrived. And I know we've got some folks right now sitting on the other side of the screen who are saying, Dan, what the heck? A minute ago, I was thinking about ice cream. Now you're throwing crazy buzzwords at me. What does this even mean? And I would say you can kind of think of Neo Insurance in the context of the wider industry. We all know and sometimes love the insurance carriers out there. They're doing great things. They've been protecting people's businesses and livelihoods for sometimes hundreds of years. But I don't think it's controversial to say that as they've grown and as they've evolved over the years, speed and ease of doing business have not always been their number one goals. Over the last several years, you've had different insure techs joining the space. There's a lot of different ways they can be organized. You'll have MGAs, MGUs, fronting companies, wholesalers, competitive raters. But when you boil it all down and start to look at the mechanics of how it all works, generally they're distributing someone else's insurance product. A lot of times they're using technology that they are built or licensed with vendors, didn't even build themselves. And so, because of that, these organizations tend to not have full control over the process. It makes it hard for them to adapt, add new policy features, expand their appetite. It makes it hard for them to deal with struggling years where results are a little tough. And ultimately, it just makes it tough for them to respond to the needs of yourself and our mutual clients in the market. That's where MGT is different. We are the carrier. We stand behind the risks that we underwrite through the platform. We control the entire process from deciding on our appetite and our rates. We built the technology that you'll see in action here in just a couple minutes to quote, bind, issue, service, and renew policies. We even have in-house management of our claims team. So we really do have a lot of control over the entire life cycle of a policy. And because of that, we can deliver to you a great experience every step of the way. So, a couple quick facts about MGT. One that I always like to highlight is we are rated A minus by AM Best. We also are writing all of our policy forms on the most legally tested, trusted forms on the market, the ISO BOP policy. What I think you'll all really appreciate is that we've built a 100% digital, zero paperwork process where you will never need to look at an Accord form. We will never come back to you and ask you to do 45 pages of supplemental applications. And once you get a quote through the platform, that's it. You don't have to do 3 weeks of back and forth email with an underwriting team to try and get things firmed up and locked in. All quotes through our platform are bindable and typically can be completed in 3 to 5 minutes, which is about the same amount of time it takes to eat an ice cream cone, coincidentally. We are admitted also in 44 states and Washington, D.C., with plans to continue expanding this year and beyond. So we can cast a pretty wide net together, too.
Got a quick question in, Dan. Do we do work comp? As Dan mentioned, it is bought presently. We have a handful of other products that we're really excited to be launching later this year. Unfortunately, work comp isn't one of them. However, y'all, as Dan has mentioned, we are the carrier, and we're looking to build out a full suite of stuff. So I would expect that that comes down the road for us. I would just say give us a little bit of time because we have some other products that we're working on right now.
Yep. So a couple quick numbers here on MGT. The one that I always like to highlight on this page is that in the last quarter, we had 100% uptime of our platform. And that means 100% of the time, somebody needed to access MGT to quote, bind, issue, service, or renew a policy, to help somebody with questions, to assist with billing. The platform was live, was online, was ready to go, wasn't throwing up error pages and endless loading screens. And a couple of quick appetite points here as well. We are writing over 300 classes of small business. We're going to be a great fit for artisan contractors, professional and medical offices, retail stores, barbershops, beauty parlors, nail salons, bakeries, grocery stores, convenience stores, restaurants with up to 50% alcohol sales, and more can all be a great fit with MGT. We are focused on small business, and to us, that's up to 3 million in revenue for most risks, up to 5 million revenues for professional and medical offices. We'll write businesses with up to 100 employees, up to 35,000 square feet as a general rule of thumb. There's a little nuance there from class to class. Up to 2 million total insured value in property per location, with up to 4 locations per policy. And we are flexible as well. We can accept new ventures, businesses with no prior insurance, coverage lapses, claims history. And so definitely when you get those tougher accounts that land on your desk, send those our way too, and we'll show you how easy they can be. So let's talk coverage for a minute here. I get caught all the time saying we write just the BOP or we just do BOPs. And, that is kind of accurate. That's the only coverage form we offer. But it's not accurate because we do have a lot of other coverages that are add-ons or optional to the BOP. And so I always like to highlight these. The professional liability here is available for barbershops, beauty parlors, nail salons, and photographers. And that can be a really impactful one. We often see that driving coverage decisions. Hired non-owned auto as well. That's available for artisan contractors, restaurants that aren't doing any self-delivery. I think all of our office classes support hired non-owned auto, a lot of our retail classes as well. That's another one that's very impactful. We often see that being the difference maker. And then I did have to learn what workers' comp stopgap coverage is. So for those of you in monopolistic states, I always like to point out that that's available as well. And so we've got some optional coverages and sublimits here too. These coverages are really just part of the BOP form, but when you are editing them in our platform, it's only going to show you options that are bindable. So it's never going to give you terms that you can't stand behind. We've got some restaurant enhanced coverage available as well. They've got access to the premises security coverages. They've got access to higher limits for contamination and spoilage, that higher non-owned auto we just talked about. And then damage to customers' property, if they're doing any valet operations, can be very impactful. And this is kind of an interesting one because when we started writing restaurants, we didn't have this coverage available. We heard from a couple of our agency partners, though, that it would be a very impactful coverage and a difference maker if we could offer it. And so we added it. And that's kind of the difference of MGT. If we were a traditional insurance company, it might take 6 years to get all the approvals to do that. If we were an MGA or, another kind of insure tech operation, we just might not be able to if the carrier we were working with didn't support it. And so with MGT, in our role as the first neo insurer, that was something that for us took a matter of days instead of years.
Dan, we've had a handful of questions, but I think and I've answered them in the chat, but I'd love to address them live as well for the benefit of the whole audience. But I think you're going to cover a good chunk of that when you get to our website. So when you do, give me a chance
Yes.
to shout some questions at you. All right.
All right, perfect. That sounds like a plan to me. So for contractors, they also do have some special coverages available. They've got access to tools and equipment coverage for miscellaneous tools and equipment, up to $100,000 limits. Then contractors installation coverage can be very helpful as well. Sometimes between those two, you can replace them needing a standalone inland marine policy. Just keep everything on one policy with one renewal, one premium to pay. Make it easy for everybody. So let's take a look now at how everything works. And before I jump into the platform itself, I always like to start us out here at mgtinsurance.com. And then we'll check out our appetite page. And Jason, I'm going to turn this one over to you now.
Yeah, so we got a handful of different questions in. Dan is at the exact right spot that I was hoping to chat with about. So great job, Dan. So we had Karen ask, do you write in New Jersey? And the answer is yes, absolutely we do. So yeah, send us some business. We'd love to work with you there. And then we had Sandro ask, do you write BOPs in Florida? Unfortunately, at this time, we do not, right? And Florida isn't necessarily on our roadmap to be added anytime soon. But this was a two-part question. Are there any restrictions on distance to coast? And the reason that I wanted to address this live, I put it in chat as well, is that I really love the way that MGT approaches this. Dan and I both have worked for a number of other companies in the past who just shut down coastal altogether, right? Instead of, looking at what might make sense for the agent, the insured, from an underwriting perspective, they say, we don't want to touch it, right? I love what MGT does here, though, right? So whereas we cannot write buildings in areas of coastal restriction, we can still consider the rest of the risk, right? So we can still write a BOP with BPP only in a lot of places that you might get a rejection otherwise. So even if that's not specific to Florida, I know that many of you have risks that are coastal otherwise. Texas is a huge state for us, up and down the East Coast, even over on the West Coast to some extent. There's not as much coastal restrictions there, but we can still consider those just without the building, even if it would be normally a restricted area for us. So really great questions. And then we've got one on appetite when you get down to Amy.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and scroll down. And I always really like to share Amy as a resource. I get questions all the time, and I actually log in sometimes and see that people have been quoting and binding with us overnight. And I'll see policy binders come through at 3 in the morning. It's going to be tough if you ever need to get me on the phone at 3 in the morning, though. That is one time where you're just not guaranteed a quality answer. Just to purely be honest here. But Amy is available for you 24/7, 365. She knows our appetite deeper than just a class code or a state availability level. So you can really dig in about the characteristics of a specific risk you're working on and get some good insight as to whether it's something there'll be a good opportunity together. So I think we had gotten a question about fire suppression system contractors. So let's say, can you write a fire sprinkler installation contractor? And so Amy's going to think through that question. She'll come back to us in just a moment with an answer. One thing that I think is kind of interesting is we're always monitoring these answers to make sure that the output that you're getting on the other side is as strong and as accurate as it should be. So this type of contractor for us, they are out of appetite, but at least we found out with the 2-second question to Amy instead of filling out all these applications and forms and emailing them and waiting some time for a response and then finally getting that response of, oh, it's out of appetite. At least this way you're set up to start working on a plan B or plan C that much faster. You could also ask something pretty specific, like, can you write a barbecue restaurant in Austin that does 2 million sales, 25% alcohol, 8,000 square feet, and it's a new venture? And so even though we're throwing a lot of different stuff her way, we're not really being like super specific or precise in our language. Amy was able to come back to us with a really good answer really fast. In this case, I wanted to throw her a curveball. 8,000 square feet is going to be a little out of our appetite for restaurants, but she identified that and then noted that some of the other characteristics were within appetite. So really helpful tool here. Always like to highlight that this is available to you. And you don't even have to log in to get here. Just go to mgtinsurance.com, click into the appetite tab, and scroll down, and you'll be all set. The real fun now, that's going to start when we get signed in, and then that will take us into the home page of the platform. We've got some different options here. We can start a quote. We can use the user management page to add new members to the team. Then we've got the appetite guide in case we do need any appetite info. Along the sidebar, you have options for home, policies, quotes, and user management. All pretty self-explanatory here. And then what we'll do is we'll click into start a new quote so you can see the magic in action. Now, I'm going to open the floor here. If anybody out there has a favorite restaurant, favorite barber shop, beauty parlor, nail salon, maybe a favorite ice cream store that you like to go to, shout that out in the chat, and we can actually run a quote for that business, getting started with just their name, using the power of MGT's technology to make things fast and easy. And I like to do it this way so you can really see something that's relevant to you.
While we're
So
waiting on some submissions, Dan, did we ever find out whether or not there was a Dan's Deli? Did we look one
there's
of those
a
up?
there's actually a Dan's Cafe in Washington, D.C.
Nice. Christopher asks, I believe I have MGT through London Underwriters. Should I be going directly to, or should I MGT through the London portal? So you should definitely go through the London portal. And that may not be, we may have some other LU folks on the call or other folks who use SSO with us. Yeah, exactly. Because your signing is through SSO, that's going to be the easiest and honestly the only way for you to get in with us. But that should make it significantly easier on you too. So great
Yep.
question. But we're looking for classes, y'all. What are some businesses that are on your desk that Dan could put in? Or I'm going to
All
make him
right.
do a Jason's Deli again.
We're about to get a Dan's Cafe quote, I think.
Yeah, let's
So
do it.
to start this out, we'll just begin typing. You can see we've got, oh, Dan's Rockin' Cafe.
Even better.
You got to do that. So we'll select that business. In my experience here, you're almost always going to find that business in that drop down. If you're ever not seeing it, though, you can always click enter business info manually and then just key in their name and address and proceed through the quote that way. So we'll click continue here. And what's starting to happen is our technology is starting to come online. Throughout this process, we are going to look up, this is a crazy number, over 3,900 different data points on this business. We're going to use it to classify the business, to pre-qualify it, to raise important information to our underwriting team behind the scenes. And then what you'll see as well is it's going to answer a lot of these questions for us as we go through. Um, so we just got a question in the chat about a handyman business. Handyman operations are not an appetite for MGT. We do write artisan contractors, but we kind of prefer them to be focused on one type of operation instead of, a lot of different types of operations like your classic handyman. So really appreciate you thinking about us on that one, but unfortunately, yeah, I don't think we'll be the best fit out there. So the information here is still gathering. One thing that I do like to highlight is that when we get this information back, we're going to resources where we're at least 90% sure that they are correct. But there is some daylight, right, between 90% and 100%. And so I would encourage you as you go through, it's not just remember it's not a race to click continue, continue, continue as fast as we can. It's really about making sure the quote we get on the other end is fully accurate and complete. And so just give everything an eyeball, make sure it looks good. And if we do need to make any adjustments along the way, that's easy to do as well. So we can see here it classified this for us as a coffee shop T-bar. That may be correct, but we can always scroll through this list and find another class code if it looks like there's something that would better describe that risk. Uh, we got another question about roofers in Nevada. Let me just pause right here, y'all. We are an admitted BOP market for contractors. If you're having trouble placing your contractors in the admitted market because they're a roofer, a handyman, or installing fire sprinklers, we're not going to be the best fit for those accounts. If you've got your standard markets fighting over a risk because it's such a nice, clean, easy contractor risk, we're going to make it easier and faster than everybody. Forget those jokers and send it to us instead. But the really tough ones, like the ones that are coming in through the chat, it's probably better in the surplus lines market. So let me get off my soapbox here, proceed through the quote so you can see how everything works. So first couple questions will always be the same. Have there been any claims? Do we need to add building coverage? We'll keep those the way they are and click continue. And then as we start to get into this next section of the quote, you'll start to see some of these answers typically will pre-fill for us. So I'll give this some assistance. If we do need to add any information, to do that is as easy as just keying it in. We'll click continue here. We'll go ahead and enter in the year it was established, the entity type, not a home-based business. We'll just say 5 employees. Now, a lot of times this information will actually pre-fill for us. This business, it might just be really new. I mean, honestly, it could be out of business at this point. And then we'll click continue to go through the next step. We'll go ahead and give them some sales and click continue. And then in this next page, we can add any additional insureds that we need and then add any building information too. So additional insureds, I do like to recommend adding them up front when you know that they'll be needed. There can be some additional premium for those additional insureds. And so when you add them during the quoting process, you'll just know that the premium you get back at the end is fully complete and fully accurate. So we'll go ahead and click no. Next step, we'll click add additional insured. We'll select our type of additional insured, and then we can add in their name, address, and answer a couple questions. And when we get to the end of the quote, that premium will be included. For the building, you can see here our system is finding some more information about it. In this case, it looks like it may be a small unit within a strip mall. And sometimes when that happens, our system will pull the square footage of that whole structure instead of just the unit occupied by the insured. So let's go ahead. We'll make a quick update here. We'll enter the construction type, and then we'll click continue. If we need to add any buildings or add any locations, we can do that in this page as well. I'll click continue here. The next question is just whether we'd like to opt out of TRIA or not. We'll keep that on and click continue. And that's the last step. We should have a quote ready to be reviewed, updated, and bound in just a few moments.
Got another good one in. Artisan contractor who installs shades. Could you offer a
Ooh,
quote for that, Dan?
that's an interesting one. I want to say, more than likely out of appetite. I don't know that we have a class code that would completely support that. But really good question there, Karen. I'm gonna double check on that and get back to you with a firm answer one way or another because I'd love to take a shot on it if it's something that can fit. So you can see here we got a quote back for Dan's Rockin' Cafe, the only kind of cafe I like to go to. And we've got the premium available for us. If we scroll down, this is where we can update and access all these different optional coverages and sublimits. All the way down at the bottom are some of the great optional coverages. So I'd always encourage you to review these. If we look at liquor liability, that's available because there are some alcohol sales. We can update that. Maybe they want the 1 mil, 2 mil limits. We can apply that and add it. And then you'll see as we make these changes, the premium updates for us in the upper right-hand corner here. Once we've got all the changes in place, we'll click update quote, and then that locks those changes in. That'll make sure when we download the quote letter here that all those changes are reflected there. And then the next step is we'll send a link to the policyholder that they can use to finalize the purchase of the policy. So we'll click continue to bind. We'll confirm our effective date, and then we'll enter in the policyholder's contact info. Now we'll click confirm and send to insured. And then in just a moment or two, typically within about 60 seconds, they'll receive an email in their inbox inviting them to finalize the purchase of the policy. That actually already hit my inbox. That's how fast it is. You will see also that we've got these 3 check boxes here in the middle of the page. Those are for you so that you can keep track of what's happening with that link once it's been sent out. You can also click copy share link here in the upper right-hand corner. And that takes that same link that just got emailed out to the insured, copies it for you. And so then if you'd like to, you can open up a new tab. You could also email it out to them. You could send it over in a text if they'd prefer to do it on their phone. Then next step here is just to select annual, quarterly, or monthly payments. We are direct bill, so there are no additional financing or interest charges for the installment options. If we do click quarterly or monthly, you'll have the view payment schedule button that shows you exactly when each payment is due and how much each installment will be. So we'll click continue here. And then the next step is to e-sign policy documents. Now, I know we've all had to do this whole song and dance where we download everything, print it out, get it signed, scan it back in, send it to somebody. They review it. They say, hey, you forgot the initials on page 83, send it back. Now we have to print it out, sign it, scan it, upload it, email it all over again. Well, if you've ever had to do that, the system you've been waiting for has arrived. All we have to do here is give it the squiggle, accept the signature. Everybody always smiles when they see how easy this is. We'll agree to e-signing, and then we can click Start Signing to go through page by page and review every signature line. I'll click Sign All, though, and just knock it out for us in one shot. All those signed documents then get emailed over to the policyholder. Those just hit my inbox as well. They'll also be available to you in the platform so that you can access those in the future if you need to, and you don't have to dig through the 8 million emails that you've received since. And then it looks like I ran into a little bug, so you don't get to see the most fun part here. But typically, all that we'll have to do after the e-signing process is put in the payment information. We accept credit, debit, and ACH. And then once that payment goes through, the policy gets bound and issued. And again, that's usually done within about 30 seconds. And then you'll have full access to the policy documents. Let me see if I can click back in here and just open up a policy so that you can see what it looks like once one's been bound. So the policy information page is really a fan favorite here. Service teams absolutely love it because it puts so much information right at your fingertips. You can see the policy status, the term. You can see some high-level limit information, payment information. You can click View Schedule to see what each installment would be and when it would be due. Um, and then you can also download all the policy documents, review exposure information, and then up at the top, you've got access to the Quick Actions button where you can generate a certificate of insurance or send out automated payment reminders once payment's closer to being due on the installment plans. So a lot of really good stuff here. And then, I think that took what, maybe 10, 15 minutes to go through. And it's even faster when you're doing this on your own. You don't have me narrating along the way. And so I hope you can see now how easy it is to work through some of these submissions and, get a bindable quote back in just a few minutes. So I've got some examples on the screen of risks that we've written recently that should give you a pretty good idea of the kinds of accounts we would be a good help with. But I would also say keep us in mind on grocery stores. That's something we've been really seeing a lot of lately. Um, and I think we've been doing really well. We tend to do better on kind of your like smaller community grocery stores, not so much the big supermarket chains. But they can have some food prep there. They can have seafood and meat departments. We'd prefer it if they didn't have a full-blown restaurant operation attached to the grocery store. Some hot food prep, food bars, totally fine. I'd say retail stores also is a really strong industry for us. We do a pretty broad variety of retail store classes, so it's hard to say like send us all your clothing stores or send us all your formal shoe stores. But just in general, send us retail stores. We'll knock it out of the park together. Medical offices can be really strong. We've been seeing a lot of chiropractors' offices recently, which is kind of an interesting one. And then, of course, restaurants is kind of a bread and butter group for us as well. We can write up to 50% alcohol sales. We can do fine dining, casual, fast casual, fast food, franchises are acceptable. So definitely send us restaurants and we can show you how easy that can be as well. And then last and maybe most important slide in this whole deck, you do have a whole team that's here to support you. I'm happy to be part of that team. So please copy down my contact info. You can take a screenshot here if you'd like. Annalise is also a great resource for you, and especially as you start to work with us more and get some quotes in and get some accounts over the finish line, you'll certainly be hearing from her. She's a great advocate for you here as well. And then we do have a support team. It's very responsive. They are available for you from 9 in the morning Eastern time until 8 in the evening Eastern time. So we've got good coast to coast coverage for those 9 to 5 working hours, no matter what time zone those fall into. And then, of course, Amy, who we all met earlier, she's available for you 24/7, 365.
Dan, Jonathan wants to know if you'll send the slide out after the call.
Absolutely. Yeah. So as actually as part of the follow-up here, we send out the full slide deck and a recording of this webinar in case you didn't get enough ice cream discussion today. You can go back and relive those exciting moments in the future. But I'll send this over to you also, Jonathan. Awesome. So, final call for questions. We have hit the end of the presentation today, but I've got some more time on the calendar together. And so, please, if you do have any other questions, if you saw anything in there that you want to dig into a little bit deeper, please ask those questions in the chat. We'll be happy to answer.
Yeah, and I'll run through a couple that I just kind of answered in the chat while you were talking. We did get several questions about Florida, and we covered it early on in the presentation. Y'all, we write in 44 states total at this point, and we have more that we intend to add. Unfortunately, Florida is going to be one of the last ones. It's probably going to be a little while just because of all the higher risk scenarios down there. We are growing as the carrier ourselves. So we're making sure that we grow in a stable way, and Florida is it's going to be coming significantly later. So at this time, I don't want to give anybody hope that we'll be offering in Florida anytime soon. But appreciate your interest. Appreciate you asking. And then we also had another one asking about direct appointments if they're through one of our partners. We actually are very restrictive on who it is that we provide direct appointments to, and the majority of our access does come through our partners. And when you find us through a partner, we have contracts with them, and you have contracts with them, which means that you got to work with them in order to determine who it is that you're allowed to have a direct with. They make those decisions over their sub appointments. We're really grateful to have you on the platform. Always happy to chat after you've had those conversations with London Underwriters, First Connect, Holscher, all of our different partners that we're super proud to work with. We want to honor and respect those contracts. So you'll want to work with them since that's who your contract is with. You guys don't write anything in Florida at the moment? No, we don't, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say, and it's probably going to be a while before we do, just because of the volatility of the state right now. But we are in almost every other state, and it will continue to grow from there. All right. Getting
So,
lots of thanks. So I think we're good, Dan. I think we asked all of the questions or answered all the questions folks had.
well, I think we just got one in the Q&A section that nobody else can read. What does MGT stand for?
Oh, yeah, this is my
Well,
favorite question.
I
Yeah.
know. I'm so glad that this one came up today. Today, I think MGT stood for Mighty Good Time. I know I've had one. Hope you have too. Thanks so much for taking some time to join us today. It's really great to be connecting with you. If you enjoyed the show, jump in the platform, run a couple quotes. That's how I know I did a good job. You can email Jason, let him know I did a good job too. Thank you again for taking some time for us. It's been great to connect with you this afternoon and look forward to working with you.
Yeah. Likewise. See you, everybody.
Take care.